What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Tuesday, May 17th, 2022, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. So, what you're looking at here is a picture that was released yesterday by NASA showing what appears to be a doorway cut into the side of a cliff on Mars. And this picture was taken by the Mars rover about a week ago, and you can clearly see what appears to be some kind of a doorway or entranceway to something, either a tunnel or some kind of structure built into this cliff. And as you can see, everything is red. It's the red planet Mars. And you can just clearly see straight lines here and right angles. Now, a lot of scientists and geologists are saying that this was made by natural processes and that this was not made by aliens. But I don't know, guys. To me, this looks like it was made by some kind of intelligent life, either humans or aliens. You can just clearly see these straight lines here in this doorway, and you can see what appears to be clean cuts that were made into this cliff to excavate this doorway or this tunnel, whatever this is. Maybe it's a mine. Maybe the Chinese are mining Mars and they're cutting into the cliffs and trying to retrieve samples, or maybe they're after some kind of exotic materials or energy sources. But you can clearly see clean cuts into this cliff, okay? You can see here on the left side of the doorway a clean cut that was made into this cliff, all right? And you can also see on the right side of the door here a clean cut as well, looking as if someone or something just took a saw or a laser and just cut right into the side of this cliff here and excavated all this rock out, because you could see the way that the rock looks. You can see that it would have just went kind of just like this right over this doorway, where it would have connected with, the left side of this cliff here and the right side of the doorway. And you could see where the rock was just kind of in this area, and it looks like they just cleanly cut into this cliff and removed everything out. And then what's also interesting, if that's not enough, now another thing about this picture too is that you can see here what appears to be possibly some kind of creature standing in the doorway. You can see what looks to be like an alien face peering out from this doorway here. You can see this black round thing here and two eyes, what appears to be two eyes. Looks kind of weird. So, I don't know, guys, but this is, to me, this is definitely not natural. I mean, look at this clean cut. You can clearly see what appears to be some kind of like a column on the left side of this entranceway or doorway. You can see it looks almost like a column that you would put under your deck. When you're building a deck, it just looks like a column, some kind of a support column. It almost looks like a square shape and maybe made of some kind of concrete or some kind of material, but it looks like some kind of a column that was put in here to support the doorway and prevent the rock from collapsing and caving in. But I mean, it's just a perfect vertical post or column, on the left side of this doorway here. To me, this is not natural. I'm not a geologist, guys. I'm not a scientist by any means. I'm just a regular guy that has good common sense, and my common sense is telling me that there's no way that this is natural, okay? Either this was created by aliens or some kind of prehistoric civilization that lived on Mars, or this was created by maybe Chinese, rovers that were trying to extract samples from Mars or maybe mine Mars. I don't know, guys, because we do know that China has rovers already and they have been exploring the moon quite heavily and they want to mine the moon. There's a lot of different exotic materials on the moon and also on Mars. So I don't know, guys. To me, this looks like it was made by some kind of intelligent life. You can clearly see this column here or this post, just a vertical structure or vertical, thing just coming right out of the ground. I don't see how this could be naturally occurring either on Mars or even here on Earth. You don't really have these kinds of vertical structures or items, naturally occurring. It just doesn't make any sense. And then you have this clean cut here into the side of the cliff, and then another clean cut here. You got right angles, and you can see that the picture was taken in like a 45-degree orientation towards the door, kind of off to the side, and the picture wasn't taken directly facing the door. And my guess is that they didn't want to directly face the door because they didn't want people to see what was inside. So they kind of took a sideways shot on an angle, 45-degree angle, so you could make out the door, but you can't make out what's inside. Is this an entrance to some kind of, base or some kind of structure inside of Mars, inside the rocks, like a underground facility on Mars, possibly made by aliens or made by Chinese rovers? I have no idea, guys. Maybe the Chinese are building bases on Mars. And there have been many people coming out saying that the US has secret bases on the moon and on Mars. And actually, Dwight Eisenhower's granddaughter said that her grandfather, Dwight Eisenhower, made a peace treaty with aliens after World War II. And she said that there's a secret space force that has a base on Mars, and that they use that base on Mars to monitor what's going on with different alien civilizations and faraway planets. So maybe this is a U.S. military or U.S. Space Force entrance to some kind of base that they have. I don't know, guys. I'm just sharing different possibilities. I'm not saying that that's exactly what this is. That's just a possibility. But to me, this definitely is not natural. Also, what's very interesting is that there's just so much predictive programming in our society when it comes to aliens and Mars. There's just so many movies about aliens being on Mars and ancient civilizations on Mars, video games. Just going all the way back to like the 60s, 70s, 80s. So many popular movies like Total Recall, which takes place on Mars, and there's an exotic energy source on Mars, and there's an ancient civilization that was on Mars and that harnessed that energy. And then you have the Doom video games where there's demons on Mars, and that Mars is actually a gateway to hell. And corporations on planet Earth attempt to mine Mars to get energy from Mars and make a fortune in profits, when it turns out that they're actually mining hell energy, and they release demons, and the demons start to attack planet Earth. Just so many different movies. So I don't know, guys. I wanted to just share that with you. There's just a lot of predictive programming when it comes to aliens, UFOs, Mars, invaders from Mars, aliens on Mars, ancient civilizations on Mars, exotic energy sources. There's also on the moon, there was plans to build a base going back to the Cold War, the U.S. military wanted to build a base on the moon. Who knows if they don't have one already? I mean, we don't know. Um, there's just so much we don't know, so much that's kept secret from us. So I wanted to just share these possibilities with you. I don't know, but what's very interesting is the timing of this picture being released yesterday, when today we had a historic congressional hearing on UFOs hosted by the House Intelligence Committee. And in this hearing, they talked about the congressional UFO report that was released last year. They elaborated on it a little bit more in detail. And they said that they were going to create an office in the Department of Defense that would focus all of its energies on investigating and tracking UFOs and unidentified aerial phenomenon, which is crazy. So I don't know if they're trying to get us ready for full disclosure. I personally believe that the US government and various governments around the world, including the Russian government, have known about the existence of aliens for probably 100 years. There's a lot of reports from World War II that indicate that the Nazis were battling UFOs in Antarctica and in South America. And there's just so many sightings that have been reported in various countries around the world, in places even like Chile, where 10 years ago, the Chilean Air Force released a video showing one of their fighter pilots following a UFO that was flying around in Chilean airspace. And you can clearly see that this thing was, not of this earth. The propulsion system was just really bizarre, and you couldn't make out any kind of propulsion or any kind of wings or anything on this aircraft or UFO, whatever it was. And then we had reports from the U.S. recently. We had the incident with Commander David Fravor. He went on the Joe Rogan show and he talked about his experience when he was a fighter pilot in the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group, and he was dispatched to investigate some UFOs that were harassing the Carrier Strike Group off the coast of San Diego. And he went over there with his F-16 or F-15, I can't remember, and he investigated this UFO that they were tracking on radar, and he got video footage of it, and the video footage was released. They released the FLIR footage, okay, the thermal imagery, okay, of this spherical object that was just flying super fast. Just really bizarre, guys. Literally looked like a tennis ball flying around in the air, moving at super high speeds, no discernible means of propulsion. And this is something that they talked about in this congressional hearing today with the House Intelligence Committee. They said that there was no discernible means of propulsion for a lot of the UFOs that were reported by fighter pilots and different members of the U.S. military. And they reiterated that a lot of these UFOs were flying around U.S. military bases and that they had some kind of an interest in military bases as well as nuclear power plants. So very interesting events happening today and yesterday. This picture coming out showing a doorway on Mars, and then today a congressional hearing on UFOs with the Department of Defense officially saying that they're going to create an office to investigate these UFOs and study them more and determine if they're a threat to national security. they did conclude in this hearing that UFOs do pose a threat to national security because of their proximity to military bases and close encounters with civilian aircraft and military aircraft. So it's very interesting, guys. And, regardless what you think about UFOs, whether they're real or fake, or whether aliens exist, or whether they're fallen demons or fallen angels and they're demons, you can clearly see the evidence that there is something out there. Okay, whether they're demons, whether they're, just aliens, I don't know. That's for you to decide. But I'm presenting to you the evidence here. There's definitely something going on, and our government knows about it. All the superpowers of the world know about it, and they're finally starting to tell us about it. And you have to wonder why all of a sudden now they're starting to come out and show all these pictures and videos, and they're doing these hearings and they're doing congressional reports when just 50 years ago they were in full denial mode. Like when the Roswell crash happened, they were denying that whole thing and they said it was a weather balloon. Just so many excuses over the years that the U.S. military and the government have made. When they've recovered UFO wreckage, they always say, "Oh, it was just a weather balloon or some kind of experimental drone that crashed." Come on, they really think people are that stupid. Come on. So I wanted to just share this with you guys. I know it's not my normal videos like on Ukraine and world events, but to me, this is very important because it means that they're getting us ready for something. They're getting us ready for full disclosure of aliens and UFOs. I think it's going to be coming soon. And that's when we really need to be on high alert because this could be the next trick that they pull. The military industrial complex is probably salivating because once the US government says that there's UFOs and we know that they're extraterrestrial, then the defense contractors are going to go into overdrive to create some weapons that can deal with these UFOs and study them and track them. And the defense contractors are just going to be super excited about that. That's, to me, is just a clean cut. I don't know if NASA's just playing games with us, and this is maybe a picture that they took from Arizona somewhere, and they're maybe just trying to hype up this meeting today in the Congress. This congressional hearing on UFOs, and this is just a big trick. I hope not, but this is definitely man-made in my opinion. Now, what I want to do is I want to just share with you guys this new footage that was released in this hearing today, new UFO footage. So I want to just play this for you. And again, if you want to see this whole hearing, I'm going to leave links in the description below this video. Okay, so you can see this hearing. You should watch the whole thing. It's very interesting. I recommend you guys watch it. This is historic. The first hearing on UFOs ever in the United States, and probably the first hearing like this in a parliament of any government in the world. So they released this new footage today, and what appears to be some kind of, orb or some kind of round object flying by some kind of fighter jet.
Gentleman yields back. Chairman Schiff. Thanks, Chairman. Mr. Bright, can you rerun that first image? It looked like it was outside of a plane window. And if you wouldn't mind going up to the screen and tell us what we're seeing. Not that you can necessarily tell us what we're seeing, but right. Explain what we should be looking at in that first image.
Absolutely. And Alexi, what I'll ask is if you can stop it at a certain point.
Okay.
So as you can see, it's difficult, and I think a part of the issue here is the laptop we're working with is not as easy for stopping that video in the right spot.
We'll describe what we have seen in that. What are we observing?
What you see here is aircraft that is operating in a U.S. Navy training range that has observed spherical object in that area. And as they fly by it, they take a video. You see it looks reflective in this video, somewhat reflective, and it quickly passes by the cockpit of the aircraft.
And is this one of the phenomena that we can't explain?
I do not have an explanation for what this specific object is.
And is this one of the situations where it is, that's the object that we're looking at right there? Thank you. And is this a situation where it was observed by the pilot and it was also recorded by the aircraft's instruments?
We'll talk about the multi-sensor part in a later session. But in this case, we have at least that.
In the Director of National Intelligence 2021 unclassified report, the ODNI reported 144 UAPs between 2004 and 2021, 80% of which were recorded on multiple instruments. And I take it with respect to some of those, you had a pilot seeing them if it was observed by a pilot, right, and you had multiple instruments recording it. So you really have three sensors, the human sensor and two technical sensors detecting the object. Is that?
For the majority of incidents that we had in the last year's report, the majority had multi-sensor data. When I talk about the 400 reports that we have now, that number will certainly go down because a lot of those new reports that we have are actually historic reports that are narrative based. So that percentage will go down just as a factor of the fact that the destigmatization has resulted in more narrative reports.
And that's the object we're looking at right there now, right?
That's it right there.
Okay. Last year's report also said that of those 144, 18 of them reportedly appear to exhibit unusual flight characteristics, appear to demonstrate advanced technology, and some of them appeared to remain stationary in winds aloft, move against the wind, maneuver abruptly, or move at considerable speed without discernible means of propulsion. That's pretty intriguing. And if you're able to answer this in this setting, are we aware of any foreign adversary capable of moving objects without any discernible means of propulsion?
I think I would, without discernible means of propulsion, I would say that we're not aware of any adversary that can move an object without discernible means of propulsion. The question then becomes, in many of these cases where we don't have a discernible mean of propulsion in the data that we have, in some cases, there is likely sensor artifacts. Earlier when we asked.
So that's pretty much it, guys. Check the description below this video for the link to the hearing if you want to watch the whole thing. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere.